Moving to our public presentation tonight, Lauren Gregory has come to us. She's with Child Abuse Prevention Month, and she's going to come up and tell us a little bit about her team before I read the proclamation.
Thanks so much, everybody, for letting us come. I've got with me, again, I'm Lauren Gregory. This is Jennifer Daniel. She's a forensic interviewer at our center, and then this is our executive director, Nancy Burgess. Jennifer is handing out a brochure about our center for you to view in case you are unfamiliar with our center. The agency we work for is called A Child's Voice Child Advocacy Center. We're located in Social Circle, and we serve Walton County and Newton County, so we're located right in the middle. And the Child Advocacy Center model is designed to reduce trauma for children after they've made a disclosure of child sexual abuse or severe child physical abuse, or if they've witnessed some other violent crime like a homicide or domestic violence. So we talk to the children to get their statement. We do forensic medical exams when necessary, other support services for the family to help with healing, a lot of counseling referrals, and then we also do a lot of prevention and community awareness about the prevalence of child abuse. So the reason we're here tonight is because April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, so it's our favorite month, but we asked the mayor to sign a proclamation proclaiming Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city to just kind of bring everybody together and aware about, you know, this does happen here, unfortunately, but that there are resources for people when these things happen, and there are things that adults can do to prevent child abuse. Does anybody have questions about our center?
And you're in Social Circle?
Yeah, so we're located in Social Circle.
Okay. Lauren and Tyler have been here before. They live on 5th Street? 4th Street. I was close. So they are among the young guns who are helping to shape the city of Monroe, and I appreciate your efforts, especially with our kids. So thank you. Ladies, did you have anything you wanted to say? No. Before I go into this nice Paul Rosenthal-style reading. This proclamation for the city of Monroe, Georgia, whereas according to the Children's Defense Fund's most recent State of America Children Report, there were 1,854 confirmed cases of child abuse and or neglect each day in America in 2017. And whereas the Georgia Family Connection Partnership reports that there were 188 substantiated cases of child abuse and or neglect in Walton County in 2017. And whereas in 2018, a Child's Voice Child Advocacy Center responded to 96 cases of child physical or sexual abuse in Walton County by conducting forensic interviews, forensic medical exams, and family support services. And whereas children may delay or never make a disclosure of their abuse, and sometimes formal reports of child abuse are not submitted to law enforcement or the Division of Family and Children's Services. And whereas the Center for Disease Control and Prevention suggests that reported cases of child abuse may underestimate the true occurrence and estimates that 1 in 4 American children experience some form of child mistreatment in their lifetimes. And whereas Darkness to Light reports that around 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused by their 18th birthdays, and only 38% of child victims will disclose their abuse. And whereas according to the Darkness to Light, victims of child abuse are significantly more likely to experience emotional, psychological, health, and behavioral issues. And whereas with a strong support system and effective counseling, children are able to heal from physical and sexual abuse. And whereas children's advocacy centers like A Child's Voice work within the community to spread awareness about child abuse, teach citizens how to recognize the signs and respond to child abuse, and utilize a multidisciplinary approach to coordinating care for families with the help of Walton County law enforcement, DFACS, District Attorney's Office, school systems, and mental health counselors. And whereas A Child's Voice Child Advocacy Center invites all residents of Walton County to participate in Child Abuse Prevention Month in April 2019 by sharing their time and talents to help create better, brighter futures for children and families. Now, therefore, I, John Howard, Mayor of the City of Monroe, do hereby proclaim April 1st through 30th, 2019 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Monroe, and encourage all residents to become aware of the prevalence of child abuse in our community and learn how to properly recognize, respond to, and prevent instances of child physical or sexual abuse by supporting children and families and the agencies that serve them in the City of Monroe and Walton County. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the City of Monroe, Georgia, this first day of April, the year of our Lord, 2019. John Howard. My signature gets worse and worse. I'm sorry.
Say something else.
Yes, ma'am.
We partner with Monroe Police Department and the district attorney and DFACS and all them, and that's where we get our referrals from. So we appreciate the support and them bringing their cases to us and letting us have a small part in playing a role in handling those cases.
Well, you play a huge role, and I appreciate you doing that. And RV and our public safety team have done an outstanding job, too. We're real fortunate to have them as well. Would you like this?
Yeah, will you take a picture of this?
I would love to take a picture of you. Are you in front, or you want me to come down?
So you just be right there. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good job.
Get my good side, Tyler. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate you coming. Moving to public comments. We have a few. I'm going to move Tom Tittle pickleball to the last part, but we'll start with Harold Patterson. Signs for Veterans Park, status of the new name brand food store, which I will tell you right now. I'm not going to be able to tell you, but proceed, please.
Thank you. Mayor, council members, thanks for letting me come forward again tonight. 2 quick questions. Okay, now that we have dedicated the Walton County Veterans Memorial Park, I think it would be in the interest of all of us if we had a couple of signs identifying how to get to the park. Probably one on Spring Street, maybe one on 78. Who do we see to get that started?
Yes, sir. I'll speak with you after the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Second easy question. What is the status of our new grocery store and development? I haven't seen any earth moved out there yet.
The status of that project is still under review, design, engineering by the prospective developer, and there's been no exchange of the land yet by the property owner. So still under design for engineering.
But it hasn't been canceled?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. Look forward to going there. Thank you.
We do too. Thank you. Von Sieber? Did I pronounce that correctly, sir? Von Sieber? From Hillside Trace. Come on up. You come right up here to the podium.
Yes, what can I do for you?
I have, you're on public comments. Did you intend to sign in instead?
I probably did.
Well,
What do you do before? I probably signed the wrong
well, that's okay. We're glad you're here. We'll make sure that everything gets put.
report to this. It's the first time I've been to one of your meetings, and I'm looking forward to this. So thank you very much, and sorry about the mix-up.
Well, no, we'll try to make it worth your while. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pat Kaminsky.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I'd like to follow Mr. Tittle.
That works for me. Tom Tittle, United States Pickleball Association?
We are a group of folks that are playing pickleball. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to come and present the sport of pickleball to you and the benefits that it will be to the city. I've put together a little folder because I didn't want to take all your time.
Thank you, sir.
In the folder, you'll find some proposals that I had made for the park at Hammond. I just did it on my own just to find out how much it would cost to convert tennis courts into pickleball courts. And on the other side, you'll find some advertisements, some articles on the benefits to pickleball, not only to your citizens, but to the city. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the United States and Canada. And other than that, also it is now being played worldwide. And there's even talk of making it a sport in the Olympics one day. That's how popular it has gotten. It started out on the West Coast, and it's, sorry about that. But in the 1965, and it is just growing exponentially. The sport is very popular with retired folks, especially baby boomers. And I have read some reports that 10,000 baby boomers are retiring every day. And I'm one of those. Tomorrow I will close on a house down Alcovey, and I'll be moving in, that night. And I'm looking, baby boomers are looking for towns like this. You're situated close to the UGA. People like me are looking for entertainment. We're looking for places that we can call home. I grew up in a small town like this in East Tennessee. Matter of fact, it was smaller than this, smaller than Monroe. We had to go to a town like Monroe to go shopping, and we loved it, and I loved it. I was talking to my brother one day. I said, we were Opie Taylor and didn't even know it. So, and baby boomers are living longer, and they've got a lot more money to spend. And as far as money, our club started with myself and 3 other men about a year and a half ago. I did a demonstration at Felker Community Center, and from that year and a half to 4 people, we are now 75 full-time players. Sometimes we have so many that we have to limit the time you can play. So that's why we are hoping that we can encourage you to include us in your plans for your recreational departments. Our home now is at the, and we want it to always be there, is the Boys and Girls Club. We saw a need as they were so gracious to us. Anything we wanted, Lynn Hill was just, right on the spot, wanting to help us. So in turn, we wanted to help the Boys and Girls Club. We put on a tournament. We gave Lynn close to $1,400 in one weekend. And during the year, we take up a collection. We have a little tip box, and it's all voluntary. And through that tip box and the tournament, we have raised and given to Lynn almost $3,000 in that year that we've been playing, less than a year that we've been playing at the Boys and Girls Club. We also have, to show you that we are serious about helping the city help us, we established an escrow account, and in that escrow account right now we have $10,000. So we're hoping that will show you how much we want to participate in your city, how much we want to help it grow, how much we are so enthusiastic about pickleball. And one of the reasons everyone's enthusiastic about pickleball is it's a very social sport. When you get to be our age, I'm 70, and you want to have friends. You want to have that social get-together. And we have picnics. We celebrate just because it's a holiday. We'll bring food. So, like the last one was St. Patrick's Day, and I don't think there's an Irish man in our club. So we had a party. Okay, but I will hope that anything that you do for us, you will understand that it will help your city. It's basically from the movie, if you build it, they will come. I played this game one time rehabbing a knee replacement, and I play anywhere from 5 to 6 days a week now. So,
Now, you have 75 members?
yes.
Said. Are there any questions for Mr. Tittle?
I have a question. I noticed in the handout that to redo the tennis courts over there for pickleball at Hammond, like you know, that would cost somewhere in the mid-50,000s.
Yes, sir.
In your work with organization and all, have you seen anything to where grants are available?
Matter of fact, we went to the Walton County Health Foundation and we put in a grant. We were refused. I don't know the exact reasons, but we are not giving up on them. We were asking for, I think we were asking for $20,000. And every year we're going to resubmit to them. one of the things they said we were too small. And that was when we were 40. Now we're 75. And this has been done with, I would say in less than a year, but it could be over a year because, I am 70. So,
Any other questions?
Well, it appears just from briefly looking over those estimates that some of that 50-plus thousand could come from in-house labor. It wouldn't take,
yeah. The best part
Contract.
that you'd want a professional organization to do is to put the surface down.
right.
After you put the surface down and repair the cracks, because cracks will come back. And they have a system now that they guarantee for 5 years. Most of them do. And it'll last longer. That's just the guarantee they give. Other than that, you can have your crews come in and put the post in, put the nets up, redo the fence. Be nice to have rehab the bathroom facilities.
Yeah.
It's just got so much potential, and it doesn't have to be there. If it could be anywhere in the county. It could also, you could take a old warehouse. We could make it an indoor facility, and a lot of things can be done. It's being done all over the country. I'll tell you, just in Georgia, from St. Simon Islands all the way to Towns County, Habersham County. There are pickleball courts. Towns County put in 18 courts. They have 4 major tournaments a year. One of the major tournaments is in Florida, Naples, Florida, and they do it for 2 weeks. It's called the U.S. Open. Pickleball. And they get people from all over the world. They have like thousands of participants. And in that 2 weeks, the impact to that community was $2.5 million.
That's impressive. I appreciate your working with Lynn and the Boys and Girls Club. He's a good man. Those are good kids. And I also appreciate your supporting that group. I only have one question. Can you beat Suzanne Roberts? I didn't think so. I was just curious.
I can't beat her. I do want, and I'll quit. I can't get long-winded. I was talking to Lynn one day, and he was lamenting the fact that he needed some foosball tables. So I walk out at where we're playing, and I said, we need to get up enough money to buy Lynn a foosball table. Within 20 minutes, I had enough money, and I took it back to him.
That's
And we have professional people. We have people that, one fellow from Los Angeles came out to DeKalb County to develop their Children at Risk program, and he never went back. And he plays with us.
Great. Thank you so much. Mr. Kaminsky. Pat Kaminsky.
Pass this around so they all have touched a paddle, a pickleball paddle. It's called a paddle, not a racket. And the ball that is used, it doesn't go fast. My name is Pat Kaminsky. I live at 824 Fairway Drive, City of Monroe. I've been a resident here for 22 years. My daughter, this is Jennings, she's here tonight also. She lives, we'll just say one step over the line outside of the city. But that's why, from a user standpoint, I want you to know that I got involved in this. I'm just shy of 72. And about a year and a half ago, I was at a party at Chip Ferguson's. Y'all know who Chip Ferguson is, the lawyer here in town. I was at a party at his house, and he had some, I call older relatives there. And I was talking to them, and they said, well, we can't leave tomorrow. We were going to go home to Florida, but we can't leave. And I said, why is that? They said, we got to play pickleball. That's the first time I ever heard of it. I said, well, what in the world is pickleball? And they started explaining it to me. And I said, just how old are you? He said, I'm 92 years old. And I said, well, that sounded like the sport for me. And so I told my daughter about it, and she went and researched it and played, and she said, Dad, you probably could do this. And so I have, but now she's got to the point she can beat me. But my point is, this is a game for all ages. My granddaughter, who is now 14, she started playing, I guess she was maybe 12 and a half when she started playing. She plays very, very well. She plays good. And so this is something that if you build it here in Monroe, not only will it be used for the older folks or the seniors, it would be used for everybody. And like the word, and I know this is going to be a magical word for y'all, lacrosse. When I was growing up, nobody ever thought about lacrosse. Well, guess what? Lacrosse has become a popular thing now in schools. You watch pickleball. This is something, I took up golf because it was for the ages. In other words, I could play it as a young man, and I could play it when I got older. Well, I have found out golf takes me about 4 to 5 hours to play. With pickleball is about a 12 to 15-minute game. And then you can sit down, you can rest for a few minutes, and go out and play again. And you can continue. And we play in like 2-hour sessions. But if you've got 30 minutes, you can come play a couple games and go back to work if you want to slip away for just to clear your mind. Or in the evenings, if you can't get away from work, we have evening sessions you can play. So it's, by having this outside at Hammond Park, it would be wonderful. That way it gives us the flexibility of going whenever we want as opposed to a designated time. Because the Boys and Girls Club, they are still a club that utilizes their space, and we have to kind of intermix with them. And they've done a wonderful deal by letting us get in there, and Tom and Dee and all the people. All those people in red, by the way, I didn't get the message. They got the red shirts on, and they're all pickleball people. So they're here supporting it tonight. But I would hope that as y'all look at your recreation and your budgets and all, this is something that will be for the city. It's going to be here for older people, and the younger people growing up are going to be learning this. They're getting more and more involved in it. They're trying to get it into the schools because it does take up a lot less space. You can put 2 courts on. You can put 3 on a tennis court. So basically, you can put 3 on a tennis court if it's a regulation size tennis court. So it does take a lot less space. So, you don't have to do away with the whole tennis court situation. You can still have a combination of them. But anyway, I just wanted to take some time and give a perspective of a user. And I've been playing now for, I had a little layover because I had a little shoulder problem, but about a year and a half now. And, I moved up from D don't want to say, but I moved up from like a 1, which means you're just learning how to play, to, he tells me I'm up to a 1.5 now. But anyway, thank you for your time, and keep this into consideration as you're looking over recreation and things that's going to be here for our people. And with the city moving out toward that area, with the police department and all those people out there, maybe at lunchtime y'all could run over and play a game, clear your mind, lose that little bit right here, You can send your officers over there for exercise, your firemen over there for exercise. No, we're not going to send the trash people over there. They get enough exercise. But thank you very much, all right?
Thank you, Mr. Kaminsky. I am going to ask if anybody has a question before he sits. Does any questions?
I'll be glad to answer. I can bluff my way through anything.
He's the leader of the pep rally. I appreciate
John,
you coming out.
excuse me, Mr. Mayor, you haven't met me before, but I've been here before.
Yes, sir, I know. Thank you, yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming. Thank all of you for coming, Pickleball family. I'm excited to learn how to play it maybe one day. We need to move to our public hearing. Zoning Ordinance Code Text Amendment Number 7, Mr. Stone.
Yes. This is the inlay overlay zoning text amendment. This is an effort to provide for encourage infill development to apply aesthetic controls to ensure the desired development pattern and the quality while allowing affordability and sustainable development. There are updates to the R1, R1A, R2, and MH ordinances sections, as well as that amends the setback, square footages, materials, and other design and site specifications.
Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Stone?
I would like, since we do have a good audience tonight and hope for people on TV, if Mr. Stone could do a summary of what this would accomplish and the reason we need to do this.
Sure. It's applicable to, I don't have a map here tonight, but it's applicable to all the R1A, R2, and MH current zonings. What we're looking at doing is, like I said, is to have parcels that are out there that are R1A, that are 3 acres or less, to do the infill, which will allow you to do 10 units per acre, up to 10 per acre, and it's designed to be areas that are close, that are to the central business district downtown, and with the high-density single, it would be high-density single detached family to encourage in-town living with specific focus on walkability communities to the central business district. Additionally, the IOD is what we're going to call the overlay, is going to be also extended to the R2, which is multifamily, and MH, which are mobile home communities in those parcels. We will allow that to encourage scrape and rebuild in those areas, and it's intended to create, small communities of developed dwelling units around the pedestrian access and parking and vehicular access. It's located to the back of the units. So that's what we're looking for, and really to ultimately provide quality housing for all walks of life. That's what our goal is.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Bradley, for having him do that. I'll declare this portion of the meeting open for public comment. Do I have anyone in favor or opposed who would like to speak? Yes, sir. You can come on up, please, sir.
You say that you can want to put as much as 10 homes per acre?
That's the ultimate, what you could do if all the geometry would line up. It's essentially a 4,000 square foot lot. If the example that you would want to look at is what we like to refer to as the Napa houses, if you know where I'm talking about, next to the auto parts dealership over there, to the left of that is where that community resides. That's the example that I'm talking about. If you know where I'm talking about, across from the cemetery.
It just seems to me, an acre, that's less than the size of a football field. You want to put as many as 10 homes,
If you have,
size slightly less than the size of a football. That sounds like road housing to me.
that's why we limit it to no more than 3 acres.
But in the article I was reading here, says you want to be able to put 10 to an acre.
Up to 10 to an acre.
There can be.
Depends on the topography of the land and the frontage and a lot of different things. That's the very maximum you could ever get on an acre.
Sir, could you step up to the mic so we can?
Yeah. Also, in reading the article in the paper, it says quality homes, 1,300 square foot home. I mean, how much quality can you put into a 1,300 square foot home? I don't know. I don't have to worry about it because, I'm not going to be that close to some of these buildings that are going on, but that just seems like a whole lot of congestion here in Monroe. That's,
When we say,
I'm wrong, but I just wanted to say that just seems like it's excessive.
we're saying the minimum has to be 1,300 square feet. We'll let market dictate what size the house can be. If you look at the houses on Napa, that we call the Napa houses, they're pushing 2,000 to 2,200 square feet. We're saying the minimum would be that. And when we say sustainable quality, we're talking materials. We're looking at materials that won't rot, like hardy plank, et cetera, brick, stone. There'll be no vinyl allowed. So that's the quality that we're talking about, something that won't be a maintenance item on down the road.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to mention that it just seems like awfully high density, and that was my main comment on that. And they say you can be right up to 10 foot from the road. That's me plus another 4 foot.
What's from the right-of-way, usually the right-of-way is somewhere between 10 and 12 feet throughout the cities from the edge of the pavement. So you'll have that sidewalk in there. So then you go back behind that, the right-of-way, another 10 feet. So literally, if you look at the Napa houses, they've probably got about a 20-plus foot depth front yard, including the right-of-way.
Okay. Well, that was my main concern. It just seemed like a lot of homes, and anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sieber.
And just a point of clarification for everyone, this is not, this is an overlay district. It would not be everywhere, all over the city. It would be up to Planning and Zoning Commission to make recommendations, and also you all to make those recommendations as to its applicability in certain sections of the city.
So you saying it's not gonna apply to everything in the city? So we basically gonna pick and choose who we give it to?
That's how rezonings generally work. If it applies and meets the parameters of the text amendments.
So you,
I was listening last week and we're thinking about, you basically saying the houses can be 1,300 square feet, but apartments gotta be 1,200 square feet. That don't make a whole lot of sense to me. Is that not what I heard last week?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Y'all was saying that you want the apartments, I want to say 3 bedrooms to be a minimum of 1,200 square feet. And then you turn around and said a house can be a minimum of 1,300 square feet. The math don't add up.
I mean, that's the minimum. If they want to exceed that, we don't want to go smaller than 1,300 square feet. But, you know, for a 3-bedroom apartment, yes, the minimum has to be 1,200. It can go maximum. They can go beyond that if they choose to so desire. We're letting the,
If that's the case, then it would look like the houses should be a minimum of 1,700 square feet. If you say an apartment should be 1,200, I would think the houses should be more than 100 square feet bigger than apartments.
well, in R1, the minimum is 1,600 square feet. So we have options in different zoning classifications where the minimum would have to be 1,600 in R1. And then R1A currently that's proposing to be the minimum of 1,500 square feet. So they can, free enterprise can go beyond that. We're saying at a minimum, this is what it has to be. They can exceed that if the market dictates.
Can they go lower than that then?
No.
If they come ask for a variance to go lower? Because I actually understand what he's saying, that we now saying we can put these houses basically in the road. If your house is only 6-10 feet from the road, your house actually is in the road.
No. The minimum setback from the property line after the right of ways, you're gonna run about 20 to 22 feet off of the curb. Like Napa, like those houses. They're close to the road, but yeah, they're as close as they're gonna.
I don't think that house is, you saying that your house is 20 feet from the road, from the porch?
20 to 22 feet from the footing in the front.
We just had to pray nobody come through there fast and a car get out of control, because that's awfully close to the road. I had got one more question. Who came up with these ordinances to actually develop all this with the infill thing with? Because I know it was not discussed by council members, so who actually coming up with this?
Well, there was a team that came up with it.
So who part of the team?
That taking into consideration the Planning Commission, Mr. Stone, Mr. Probst, who else?
Roger Kelly, we had a consultant help us on the front end with it. Mr. Bob Smith with Smith Consulting about a year ago. And then from there, we refined it. We had the planning retreat at the beginning of the year, in which council then had several hours worth of input on.
And after talking to Mr. Roberts, Rope Roberts, who was at the Economic Development Summit, he is in line very much with where we were heading with this. Because this accomplishes a couple of things. One, it gives us a lower price point that we can have homeowners come in and afford to buy. But it also allows owners of dilapidated properties.
But if I'm not mistaken, we seem like we ain't did nothing but try to keep people from building homes in Monroe for the last year plus.
No, that's exactly the opposite. This is so they can tear down the dilapidated homes and put in more of a density So they can still make money on their projects. We have a higher quality of house, and we may bring in some younger millennial-type homeowners who can afford to purchase something that is less financially burdensome.
That sound good, but that ain't what it looked like.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, if I could share my comments on this, because I'm very much supportive of this idea. And the thing that I think we have to understand, we're not talking about somebody building 200 or 300 homes up next to each other, next to the street, in this size house. We're talking about areas within the city, in town, where it might be 2 acres that someone may be going to tear down 3 homes, they want to replace them with 6. And they want to replace less than quality homes with quality homes without building materials, as Mr. Stone mentioned, and do it in such a way that these people are close to the street with porches on the front so that they can meet their neighbors as they're walking down the street. And that is what we need for people to be neighborly, to walk the sidewalks, meet your neighbors, talk to them, sit on the front porch, invite them over for a cup of coffee. That's what's successful in other cities right now, and that is something to be good for us. Again, we're talking about small areas, maximum of 3 acres?
Maximum.
Maximum of 3 acres. So it's not like somebody's doing a 100-acre place out here and putting 1,000 homes on it. It's the maximum of 3 acres. So I guess theoretically it could be 30 homes, but realistically it's going to be much less than that with topography in the building. But these are in-town homes too, in neighborhoods, not on the periphery of the town in building subdivisions. But these are spots within neighborhoods, within the city, that would enable us to increase the quality of our homes and make some affordability. It gives developers, the builders, some incentive to put smaller homes with high quality in them, and maybe build up our in-town housing.
And go from less rental properties to more single-family
That's correct.
properties.
And so I'm very much in favor of this.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes,
could
sir.
follow Mr. Bradley's comments on that. Like him, I am one of the major proponents of this proposal. Do I know to an absolute certainty that it will work? No, but I think it will. And one of the things we haven't talked about, like some of the pickleball folks, I'm getting a little age on me. I live in a big
Not
house.
all of the pickleball folks.
Not all.
Please don't think you meant that.
Sorry about that. But, where was I? Okay. My wife and I live in a large house in an R1 district. Our children are all out of that house. That house is now way more than I want to keep up with. That huge lot is way more than I want to keep up with. And what we're talking about here is smaller homes, not just for folks, young people who are starting out, but for older folks who are downsizing. That is a big trend. And I think the day of everybody building what's called the McMansions is about over. Folks are tired of that. They're tired of cutting grass on huge lots. But if you want to still do that, we've got plenty of that. This is an opportunity to get away from what you might call the car culture, where everybody gets in a car to drive somewhere. These are close in to downtown. This is part of getting folks out of cars, walking to what we have in the downtown, using golf carts, because we have a golf cart ordinance. I think it works great. And I want to make sure that the public understands the design specifications are built into this ordinance. So any developer or builder who does these houses is going to have very strict standards for what they build. These are quality houses. These are not some sort of cheap, just throw them up kind of things. So it accomplishes a lot of good things, I think, and I fully support it.
Do y'all have anywhere that y'all can actually list a show that you've seen that's been successful in?
Sure. Just look over here on the corner of Midland and Highland. You got 4 of them sitting there. One of them's sold, one of them's finished and ready for sale. and
It's
2 of
under
them are
contract.
It
construction.
just went under contract.
That house was under contract before also.
That happens.
I know. So just because it's under contract don't mean it's gonna sell. I just have concerns about, similar to what he's saying, that I think we do. Look, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see how it actually play out. Cause I feel like if you putting that many houses in that tight area, to me, it don't look like they can almost be nothing but row houses. I don't see how you can think we're gonna have a quality houses when you got 10 houses on 1 acre. That's gonna be hard for me I can't really see that. And I don't really see how y'all can see that. Putting 10 houses on 1 acre and think you're gonna have a quality house, you might as well have an apartment. Because that's essentially what you actually got. Apartment that's not attached.
It'll be somewhat like a cluster home area. But you got to remember, what you're thinking about is probably anywhere from 15 to 30 acres. We're talking about 3 acres.
I'm thinking about how many houses you can put on 1 acre, which is 10.
That's
And if
best
I'm not
case
mistaken,
scenario.
it ain't been a year and a half, 2 years ago, when we were just arguing with a guy on Church Street that he was trying to build too many houses on multiple acres.
He had 58 acres.
And we
There
were
was
telling him
one
he was,
entrance to the subdivision.
and we were telling him he trying to build too many houses on that many acres, but you can put 10 on 1 acre.
Well, Norman, with 58 acres, if we were to allow somebody to put 10 per acre, that'd be 580. This is a maximum of 3 acres. So that developer and the developer of these lots are 2 totally different beasts.
I understand that. I'm just saying what we were complaining about a year and a half or so ago,
Well, I
about
think-
50 acres, and now we trying to figure out how to put 10 on 1 acre. That's my concern, and I don't see how we feel like that's something that should be actually really beneficial to the city. To me, that sounds like that beneficial to somebody that's already got a plan of putting these houses on a small confined area. That's what that sounds like to me. I don't know who it is, but we'll see in time.
My objective with this is to hopefully see areas where we have homes that are at the very minimum habitable. And that we will be able to go in, and possibly those homes are owned by the same corporation. There might be 5 or 6 on 2 acres. And those homes, and we would hope that this would incentivize those people to tear those houses down and to take that 2-acre plot and hopefully be able to get 16 quality-built homes that would sell on the market for under $200,000 for workforce housing as single-family homes instead of rental property. And that's my goal in hoping to see this transform some of our pockets of really bad areas into more quality housing.
Do we have any idea what his first home plan on going to?
I'm sorry, I
Do
didn't,
we have any idea who's planning on building any homes like this soon?
I have
Or
no.
this just something that we're trying to put in
No,
place?
it would be ideal, and it would be, allow us to encourage those who own the dilapidated structures yet continue to rent them at a very, very low end, pretty unsafe, terrible quality unit, to at least encourage them to tear those down, to put something else there so they can still get their value at the same time. If you have a house that's paid off and you're renting it for $400 a month, you don't have any real encouragement to do anything to make it better, because you're just counting the money. This way, we can at least encourage them to tear them down and continue to make money at the same time. That's,
Or a 2-acre parcel that they own and they've leveled the homes that 2-acre parcel that can yield 16 to 20 homes is going to be able to be sold for more money than they would be able to get in a 5-year span on rent from those properties.
I got you. Let me
Or
ask you
more.
this. Can you give me a specific location that you think that will actually work in? Just somewhere in general that you think that might actually work?
I would think there are
We've had
good
several
pockets down over on, maybe some on Marable. There may be some just in and I see it as being within walking distance
Marable,
of town.
Turner Street.
Turner Street.
Turner Street's beautiful. Beautiful
All the big
property.
trees. I mean, it could truly be a beautiful area.
I just want to note, this isn't carte blanche. There would still have to be an application that goes through the process that would have to be approved for each site development. So just because something's zoned R1A doesn't mean you can do this. You then have to come back before Planning Commission and City Council with that application of what you're trying to build on it and the specific sites, layout.
If you're approving it now, then chances are very high that they'll be approved later. So, I mean, if you push it through now, then
Well, it's going to be very site-specific, so there may be something out on the periphery of town that somebody wants to do this overlay district on a piece of R1A. That doesn't fit
No.
what the character and the descriptions would be.
let me ask you this. How far outside of the city of downtown Monroe is this going to actually take place? Because y'all keep saying that this don't actually refer to the whole city of Monroe.
That's the intent, so if you read the intent of it, it's not that. It will be a case-by-case basis that
And
goes before.
that's why I'm saying we picking and choosing who we're going to do this for.
If you look at what's zoned current R1A, it's within proximity of the city as far as walkability. That's what it's applied for. As you get on the periphery where R1 is, it would not apply. If you look at where all the R1A current zonings are, they're within a half mile of the city predominantly.
So you basically saying that you got to be half a mile of downtown for this to apply for you.
We're saying that the zonings, that the intent for this isn't to be walked. You don't want to walk 2 miles away to try to get to the city from this type. That's not the intent.
And that would, if someone came to us with a rezone of 3 acres that lies between here and, or between, just say, Quality Foods and Home Depot, I would not think that that would be the area that should be considered. Because we want to keep it within the quarter of a half mile. And we don't want to just be able to maximize density for the sake of doing so. That's not the objective.
I kind of understand what you're saying. But to me, it seemed like if we really pushing this, there's an idea that somebody have actually brought this to the table, that it's going to be developed somewhere soon inside of these quarter miles that we keep talking about, a half mile.
Norman, I'm just going to be very respectful when I say this. But had you been at that meeting that we spent almost 7 hours discussing this, and I texted you and I said, where are you? I said, we need you here. You might get a better understanding of where we're all
I can get an
coming
understanding
from.
now because we here talking about it now.
Well, we put a lot of thought into this. We really did. For
And
the
I
sake
just-
of the whole, and as far as I'm concerned, it is a new project with great intent, and we are in a position that if at any point we see it is not working out for the betterment of our citizens in our city, we can change it. It's not in stone.
We're going to see how that work out.
Are there any other questions from council? I declare this portion of the meeting closed. We will revisit that under new business. Speaking of new business, we're moving into point 1, appointment of the library board. Carolyn Yates has resigned her position on the board. The library's recommendation is to appoint Ms. Hope Reese to fill this vacant position that expires July 1st, 2019, and to appoint Ms. Reese for the upcoming 6-year term on the library board. I need a motion to appoint Ms. Reese to fill the unexpired term of Carolyn Yates and for the upcoming 6-year term to expire July 1st, 2025.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Dickinson, a second by Mr. Adcock. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next, appointment of the Historic Preservation Commission. Mr. Mitch Alligood would like to continue to serve on the Historic Preservation Commission. Mr. Alligood's current term expires May 1st, 2019. I need a motion to reappoint Mr. Mitch Alligood for a 3-year term to expire on July 1st, 2022.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Larry Bradley. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nathan Little. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next, moving to the second reading of the speed zone ordinance amendment. Mr. Couch?
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Monroe to adopt certain speed zone limits for the roads of the City of Monroe, to provide for certain school zone hour restrictions to speed limits, to authorize the use of speed detection devices within the city limits of the City of Monroe, and to provide procedures for implementation and enforcement and for other purposes. The Mayor and the Council of the City of Monroe, Georgia hereby ordain as follows. Article 1, pursuant to OCGA Section 40-6-183, the City of Monroe hereby establishes the following speed zones on the roads and streets located within the city limits of the City of Monroe, all as more fully detailed and outlined in the Exhibit A, which is attached hereto. Section 2, said speed zones and speed limits, including the restrictions relating to school zones, are hereby established based on an engineering or traffic investigation as prescribed by OCGA Section 40-6-183. Article 2, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. Article 3, this ordinance shall take effect upon adoption and execution by the mayor and council. First reading this 12th day of March, second reading and adoption this 9th day of April 2019. That would constitute the second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Couch. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt speed zone ordinance as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Adcock. Do you hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Malcolm. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. That passes. Second reading for the zoning ordinance code text amendment number 7. Mr. Couch?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an ordinance to amend the official zoning ordinance of the City of Monroe, Georgia. The mayor and the council of the City of Monroe hereby ordain as follows. Article 1, the following sections of the official zoning ordinance of the City of Monroe, Georgia are hereby amended with amendment number 7 of said zoning ordinance by deleting said sections in their entirety and substituting the following in lieu thereof. Section 300, Table 1, Districts. Section 610.3, Residential Land Use Regulations. Section 640, Overlay Districts. Section 643.3, Boundaries of the Corridor. Section 645, Infill Overlay District. Section 645.1, Intent and Purpose. Section 645.2, Applicability. Section 645.3, Permitted Uses. Section 645.4, Density, Open Space, Setback, Parking Requirements. Table 9, Infill Overlay District Dimensional Requirements. Section 645.5, Dwelling Unit Size, Dwelling Unit Design, Site Design Elements. Section 645.6, Design Specifications. Section 645.7, Roads and Streets Connectivity. Section 645.8, Homeowner Association. Section 700.1, R1, R1A, R2, MH Dimensional Requirements. Section 700.1, Table 11, Residential Zoning District Dimensional Requirements. Notes for Table 11, Section 700.1, Article 9, Building Design, Section 900 General, Section 910 Residential Building Design Standards, Section 910.1 Single and Two-Family Dwellings, and Section 910.2 Multifamily Dwellings. The attached Exhibit A has a complete text of the above referenced sections of the official zoning ordinance of the City of Monroe, Georgia. Exhibit A would consist of the following as stated: Section 300 District, Section 610.3 Residential Land Use Regulations, R1, R1A, MH, and R2, Section 640 Overlay Districts, HPO, A-H, CDO, MHDO, and IOD, Section 643.3 Boundaries of the Corridor, Section 645 Infill Overlay District, Section 645.1 Intent and Purpose, 645.2 Applicability, 645.3 Permitted Uses, 645.4 Density, Open Space, Setback, Parking Requirements, Section 645.5 Dwelling Unit Size, Dwelling Unit Design, Site Design Elements, 645.6 Design Specifications, 645.7 Roads and Streets Connectivity, 645.8 Homeowner Association, Section 700.1, R1, R1A, R2, MH dimensional requirements. Section 700.1, Table 11, Residential Zoning District dimensional requirements. Notes for Table 11, Section 700.1, Article 9, Building Design, Section 900 General, Section 910, Residential Building Design Standards, Section 910.1, Single and Two-Family Dwellings, Section 910.2, Multifamily Dwellings. Article 2, all ordinance or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. Article 3, this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council of the city of Monroe, Georgia. First reading, second day of April 2019. Second reading and adopted this ninth day of April 2019. That would constitute the second reading, Mayor.
Thank you. You read fast, much better than I.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any questions for Mr. Couch? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Dickinson and a second by Mr. Larry Bradley. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
I oppose.
Motion carries with one opposition. Next, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting, please.
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Malcolm. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Adcock. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.